There are truths that do not arrive through logic, they awaken. You do not learn them, you remember them. And if you are reading these words now, it is not by chance. Something ancient is stirring inside you. A subtle vibration, a quiet recognition, a feeling that these words are not new, only familiar, because there are souls who did not begin in this lifetime. Souls who have walked the earth many times, under different names, different faces, different eras. And some of those souls were once called mages, seers, witches, keepers of hidden knowledge. Not the caricature the world later invented, but the original ones. The listeners of the wind, the readers of fire, the healers who spoke to plants, the guardians of thresholds between worlds. If you were born on certain days, days aligned with ancient cosmic gates, your soul may carry the imprint of those lives. Not as fantasy, but as memory embedded in your spirit. This is not about ego. This is about responsibility. Because ancient knowledge does not return to a soul without reason. The days that were never ordinary, long before modern calendars, before clocks and schedules, time was understood differently. Days were not neutral. Each carried a frequency. Certain days were considered thin moments when the veil between worlds grew transparent. Children born on those days were watched closely, not celebrated loudly, not announced to everyone. They were observed because elders knew when a soul incarnates on a charged day, it is rarely new to the earth. Such souls arrived already carrying memory, sensitivity, and perception far beyond their years. They cried differently. They stared too long into nothing. They reacted to energies others could not feel. These were the children who frightened priests and comforted mystics. The ones who asked impossible questions too early. The ones who seemed old, even as infants. Why the memory was sealed if you were once a mage or a witch, you may ask. Why don't I remember clearly? Why does it feel fragmented, emotional, symbolic? Because remembering fully would have been dangerous. In past ages, knowledge was punished. Those who saw too much were silenced. Those who healed without permission were hunted. Those who spoke to unseen realms were accused of darkness. And so, many souls made a vow before reincarnation. I will return, but I will forget until the world is ready. Memory was sealed, not as punishment, but as protection. Fragments were hidden in intuition, in dreams, in irrational fears, in unexplained talents. You did not forget. You stored signs. The seal is breaking. The awakening does not happen suddenly. It leaks. You may have noticed a lifelong fascination with the moon, symbols, ancient languages, or sacred geometry. An unexplainable pull toward candles, herbs, stones, or ritual. A natural ability to sense moods, energies, or lies without evidence. Exhaustion from crowds, noise, or chaotic environments. Dreams of other eras, robes, fires, forests, or temples. A feeling of grief that has no clear origin. A deep mistrust of authority mixed with compassion for humanity. These are not personality traits. They are echoes, the soul remembering how it once worked with the unseen. You are not evil. You are inconvenient. History lied. It, at, tu. Because those who hold direct connection to source threaten systems built on control. Mages and witches did not worship darkness. They studied balance. They understood that light without shadow blinds, and shadow without light devours. They did not separate spirit from body, or heaven from earth. They stood in between, and that made them dangerous. So the narrative was rewritten. Wisdom became heresy. Intuition became madness. Healing became witchcraft. And fear did the rest. Why you returned, now this lifetime, is not random. The world is collapsing in familiar ways. Institutions are losing credibility. Humanity is spiritually exhausted. People are searching not for religion, but for meaning. This is the era many ancient souls were waiting for. Not to rule, not to dominate, but to stabilize, to anchor compassion, to remind humanity of its forgotten depth. You did not return to cast spells in the old way. You returned to transmute consciousness. Your magic now looks like healing through presence, speaking truth without aggression, creating safe spaces in a fractured world, guiding others through inner darkness, holding hope when systems fail. This is subtle and far more powerful. The fear you carry is not yours, If you feel hesitation reading this, a tightening in your chest, understand that fear did not begin here. It is ancestral memory, the memory of being betrayed, the memory of being exposed, the memory of being burned literally or symbolically for seeing too clearly. But the world has changed, and you were not awakened to hide again. A warning for those who remember: awakening is not a badge, it is a burden. Those who remember must act with humility. Ego corrupts ancient knowledge faster than ignorance ever could. This is not about claiming titles. Not everyone who feels special is awakened, and not everyone awakened feels special. True remembrance comes with grief, compassion, and restraint. If you were once a mage or a witch, your power was never domination. It was service. The door has opened. You are not reading this accidentally. Memory responds to recognition, and now something within you has shifted, even slightly. In the next part, we will reveal the specific birthday portals and why souls born on those days carry stronger imprints of ancient knowledge. This is only the beginning. The remembering has started. There are days that simply pass, and days that open, invisible hinges in time. Moments when the breath of the universe pauses and souls cross with intention. Ancient civilizations knew this. They did not choose birthdays randomly when it was possible to plan conception. They observed the sky, they listened to cycles. They waited because some days were not meant for ordinary souls. They were portals. The concept of birth portals. A birth portal is not superstition. It is resonance. Each day vibrates with a particular energetic pattern formed by solar position, lunar influence, planetary geometry, Earth's magnetic rhythm. When a soul incarnates on a portal day, it does not arrive empty. It arrives activated. These souls were often recognized early in ancient times, not by astrology's entertainment, but by lived observation across generations. Elders noticed patterns. The same days, the same abilities, the same burdens. Why portal souls were often initiated. Portal-born souls were rarely left alone. They were trained or eliminated. There was no middle ground, because untrained power is unstable, and trained power is threatening. Initiation was not ceremonial vanity. It was survival. If you were born on a portal day in this life, you may notice something strange. You were forced to mature early. You were pushed into crises young. You were stripped of illusions quickly. This was not cruelty. It was preparation. The first portal, the 1st, 10th, 19th, and 28th. These days form a sun line. Souls born on these dates carry solar memory. In ancient times, these were the light bearers, not in the corrupted sense, but in function. They carried leadership without craving authority, inner fire that inspires or intimidates, a natural resistance to manipulation, a deep conflict with ego and humility. If this is your portal, you may have spent your life oscillating between visibility and invisibility, wanting to hide, yet constantly being seen. You are likely a keeper of sacred fire, a ritual guardian, or a solar mage. You're challenged now to shine without burning yourself. The second portal, the 2nd, 11th, 20th, and 29th. This is the Veil Walker sequence. Souls born in these days have thin boundaries between worlds. You feel things before they happen. You absorb emotions without permission. You dream with symbols, not stories. In past lives, these souls were oracles, dream interpreters, spirit communicators, lunar witches, and night guardians. Your power is subtle, which makes it dangerous in the wrong hands. In this life, you may struggle with anxiety, sleep, or emotional overload. This is not weakness. It is sensitivity without training. You're challenged now to ground without shutting down. The third portal, the 3rd, 12th, 21st, and 30th. This is the word Weaver's Gate. Sound, language, frequency. Souls born on these days were once known as chanters, scribes, and truth speakers. They understood something modern humanity forgot. Words are spells. You may notice your voice affects people deeply. You can heal or wound with language alone. Writing feels like remembering, not inventing. Silence weighs heavier on you than noise in ancient lives. Misuse of speech brought severe consequences. That is why many of you now fear speaking your truth fully. You're challenged now to reclaim your voice without fear of punishment. The 4th portal, the 4th, 13th, 22nd, and 31st. This is the architect's threshold. These souls worked with structure, not just physical, but energetic. They were builders of sacred spaces, ley-line temples, healing sanctuaries, protective grids. If you belong here, chaos disturbs you deeply. You crave order, not control, but harmony. You may feel responsible for holding others together, often at your own expense. In past lives, you carried immense responsibility. In this one, exhaustion may follow you. Your challenge now, to build without carrying everything alone. The 5th portal, the 5th, 14th, and 23rd. This is the Transmuter's Gate. Alchemists, shapeshifters, boundary breakers. These souls were fearless explorers of forbidden knowledge. You are drawn to extremes. You reinvent yourself repeatedly. You cannot survive in cages, emotional, spiritual, or social. In past lives, this curiosity often led to exile. In this one, instability may haunt you. Your challenge now, to transform without self-destruction. The 6th portal, the 6th, 5th, 10th, and 24th. This is the Healer's Passage. If you were born here, you carry others' pain instinctively. You attract wounded souls. You give even when empty. You feel guilty resting. In ancient times, these were herbalists, energy healers, midwives, and soul restorers. Mani di Dung, not from weakness, but from over. Your challenge now, to heal without martyrdom. The 7th portal, the 7th, 16th, and 25th. This is the Keepers of the Mysteries. Solitude is sacred to you. You question everything. You distrust surfaced answers. You seek what is hidden beneath belief systems. In past lives, you guarded forbidden texts and esoteric knowledge. In this one, loneliness may feel familiar. Your challenge now, to share wisdom without isolating yourself. The 8th portal, the 8th, 17th, and 26th. This is the Karmic Balances Gate. Justice, cause and effect. Energetic law. You see patterns others deny. You sense imbalance immediately. In ancient rules, you were judges, soulwares, and guardians of cosmic order. In this life, betrayal wounds you deeply. Your challenge now, to restore balance without bitterness. The 9th portal, the 9th, 18th, and 27th. This is the Completion Gate. Old souls, very old. You feel tired of the world, but still compassionate. You understand impermanence deeply. You release isale, or grieve profoundly. In past lives, you were end-of-cycle guides. In this one, you may feel detached yet deeply loving. Your challenge now, to remain engaged without losing hope. A truth most are not ready for. Not everyone born on these days awakens. Free will still exists. Many portal souls choose sleep, and that is allowed. Awakening is not mandatory. But if you are here, reading this, feeling something stir, your soul may be nudging you. What comes next in part 3? We will explore why many awakened souls experience repeated loss. The karmic wounds carried from persecution lives. Why love often feels dangerous to ancient souls. The deeper layers are about to surface. Memory is no longer sealed. There is a pain that does not belong to this lifetime. It does not come from childhood alone. It does not originate in a single betrayal, a single loss, or a single trauma. It is older, quieter, deeper, and it has followed you like a shadow that never fully detaches. If you were once a mage or a witch, persecution did not merely end your past life, it marked your soul. The trauma that survived death. Most people believe death erases pain. It doesn't. Unresolved trauma migrates. It embeds itself into the soul's nervous system and resurfaces in later incarnations as chronic fear with no clear cause. A constant need to hide your true thoughts. Difficulty trusting institutions or authority. Panic when being seen, exposed, or misunderstood. Guilt for existing differently. A reflex to downplay your abilities. You may have lived a normal life and still felt hunted. That is not imagination. That is memory. How persecution actually happened contrary to popular belief. Most ancient practitioners were not executed dramatically. Many were betrayed by loved ones, handed over, quietly forced to confess under pressure, exiled and erased from records. Publicly humiliated before punishment. The real trauma was not death. It was being seen as evil for serving life. That contradiction shattered many souls, and those souls carried the fracture forward. While you fear visibility, you may crave expression and fear it simultaneously. You want to speak truth, but something tightens in your throat. You want to help others, but retreat when recognition appears. This internal conflict is not indecision. It is a survival reflex learned when visibility meant death. In past lives, being noticed was dangerous, so the soul learned to whisper instead of speak. Now, that reflex is outdated, but still active. The love wound, one of the deepest scars carried by ancient souls, is not violence. It is betrayal through love. Many practitioners were exposed by family members, romantic partners, friends, seeking safety or reward as a result. Love became associated with risk. In this life, this may appear as fear of deep intimacy, choosing unavailable partners, sabotaging safe relationships, feeling safest when alone, loving humanity, but struggling with individuals. You are not cold, you are cautious. Why you often feel too much. Ancient practitioners were trained to feel deeply. Empathy was a tool. Sensitivity was intelligence. But after persecution, that sensitivity became overwhelming. So in this life you may experience emotional overload, absorbing others' pain, exhaustion without physical cause, the need to withdraw, to reset. Modern society caused this weakness. Ancient societies called it the problem is not your sensitivity. It is that you were never taught how to regulate it yet. The silent vow before reincarnation. Many persecuted souls made a vow. I will not stand out again. I will not be seen again. I will not bring danger upon those I love. Vows made in trauma do not expire automatically. They must be consciously released. Until then, they manifest as not because you lack discipline, but because your soul is still obeying an old command. Why authority feels threatening. If you feel discomfort around rigid systems, blind obedience, or unquestioned rules, it is not rebellion. It is remembrance. You remember when authority decided what was sacred, what was allowed, and who deserved to live. You remember when truth required permission. In this life, your nervous system reacts before your mind understands why. That reaction is wisdom distorted by fear. The grief that has nitrogen and oxide story. Many ancient souls carry grief they cannot name. They mourn something they cannot remember clearly. This grief often surfaces as sudden sadness with no trigger. A sense of loss for a world that never existed, longing for community that feels ancient. Tears that come without explanation. You are not depressed. You are grieving a civilization that was erased, a way of living that honored balance, a world that could not survive its own fear. Why this wound is activating now. Trauma resurfaces when it is ready to be healed. The reason these memories are stirring now is simple. The world is again at a threshold. Old systems are cracking. Truth is destabilizing comfort. Spiritual hunger is rising, and your soul recognizes the pattern. This time, however, the story does not have to repeat. The difference this lifetime, you are not here to relive persecution. You are here to transcend it. The fear you carry is not a warning to retreat. It is an invitation to reclaim power safely. Power that no longer hides. Power that no longer proves. Power that serves without a truth that may unsettle you. Some people around you will never understand you. Not because you are superior, but because you remember things they do not. Do not seek validation from those who fear depth. In past lives, that mistake cost everything. The healing begins with one act, not action. Permission. Permission to exist fully. Permission to speak carefully, but honestly. Permission to stop shrinking. You are not being hunted now, and your soul is tired of pretending otherwise. What comes next in part 4? We will explore why many ancient souls struggle with money and survival, the spiritual imprint of vows of poverty or service, how power was once exchanged, and why it feels distorted now. The deeper we go, the clearer the remembering becomes. There is a paradox many ancient souls live with but rarely understand. You have wisdom, you have insight, you have the ability to help, guide, heal, or create profound change. And yet, you may struggle with money, with stability, with receiving, not because you are incapable, but because abundance still feels dangerous to your soul. The ancient suspicion of wealth. In many past incarnations, mages and witches did not accumulate wealth, not because money was evil, but because wealth attracted attention, and attention attracted danger. To be poor was to be invisible. To be invisible was to survive. Over time, survival hardened into belief. And belief became the vow. You may not remember making many practitioners swore oaths such as, I will not profit from the sacred. I will never use my gifts for material gain. I renounce wealth to remain pure. At the time, these vows were honorable. Necessary, but vows are energetic contracts, and contracts do not dissolve with death, unless consciously released. So they followed you. How the vow manifests today in this lifetime? The vow rarely appears as conscious rejection of money. It is satalat. It may show up as earning just enough, but never more losing money right after receiving it. Feeling guilty charging for your work, associating spirituality with suffering. Believing good people shouldn't want money, fear that abundance will corrupt you. You may even sabotage opportunities that would bring stability. Not because you are irresponsible, but because your soul still equates wealth with danger or moral failure. The distortion of power in ancient times. Power was relational. It flowed between healer and community, between teacher and student, between earth and human. It was not hoarded. When power became centralized, monetized, and controlled, persecution followed. Your soul remembers that shift. So now, you may distrust systems involving money, hierarchy, or authority, even when they could support you. This creates internal conflict. You want to help, but you fear being seen as corrupt, manipulative, or selling out. Why survival feels heavy? Many ancient souls experience chronic fatigue around survival. Tasks, paperwork, bills, schedules, systems. It feels exhausting, not because you are lazy, but because your nervous system was not designed for constant material pressure. In past lives, survival was communal. Now it is individual. And your soul feels the fracture, the shame around wanting more if you feel embarrassed, wanting comfort, security, or beauty. Pause. Ask yourself, who taught me that desire is wrong? Often, the answer is not your parents or culture alone. It is the echo of vows made in times when wanting more meant endangering others. Your soul learned to desire less to keep the group safe. That instinct was noble, but it is outdated. Abundance is not the enemy. Here is a truth many ancient souls resist. Abundance does not corrupt wisdom. Fear does. Poverty does not purify the soul. It exhausts it. You were not meant to struggle endlessly to prove humility. You were meant to circulate energy, not block it. Money is not a measure of worth. It is a tool of exchange, and tools take the shape of the hands that hold them. Releasing the vow without ritual drama. You do not need elaborate ceremonies. You need clarity. At some point, consciously or quietly, you must say, that vow kept me alive once. It no longer serves me now. I release it with gratitude. Release does not dishonor the past. It honors growth. The new agreement, ancient souls are not meant to replicate old roles exactly. You are meant to evolve them. In this life, power can look like being paid fairly for meaningful work, creating stability without domination, using resources to protect your energy, resting without guilt, thriving without losing compassion. This is not betrayal of your path. It is maturation of it. Why abundance activates fear? If abundance begins to appear and you feel anxious instead of joyful, understand, your soul is testing safety. It is asking, will this make me visible again? Will this cost me love? Will this separate me from truth? These are reasonable fears, rooted in memory. But this time, you get to answer differently. A quiet realization: many ancient souls do not want riches, they want space to breathe, time to feel, freedom to serve without depletion. Abundance is not excess, it is enoughness. What comes next in part 5? We will explore why ancient souls struggle with identity and belonging, the feeling of being between worlds. Why you may feel alienated from both spirituality and society. The remembering continues. There is a loneliness that does not come from being alone. It comes from not belonging anywhere. If you have felt like a visitor in your own life, as if you observe humanity from just slightly outside, this is not detachment, it is remembrance. Ancient souls were never meant to fit neatly into one world. They lived between the in-between existence. Mages and witches they stood between the sacred and the mundane, nature and civilization, life and death, spirit and body. They were translators, not residents. And translators rarely belong fully to either side. In this life, that may manifest as feeling too spiritual for society, too grounded for spiritual communities, too deep for casual conversation, too strange for tradition, too skeptical for blind faith. You are not confused. You are multi-layered. Why groups often disappoint you? You may enter communities with hope, spiritual, creative, social, only to feel disillusioned. Not because people are bad, but because most groups unconsciously recreate hierarchy, dogma, and exclusion. Your soul recognizes this pattern immediately. You have seen it before, and you know where it leads, so you withdraw. Again, the misunderstood need for solitude. Solitude is not avoidance for you. It is integration. You process experience deeply. You digest life internally. You need silence to remain sane. In past lives, solitude was part of training. Initiates were separated from society to hear clearly. In this life, solitude is often pathetic. The danger is not solitude. The danger is forgetting to return. The identity fracture. Many ancient souls struggle to answer a simple question. Who am I? Not because they lack identity, but because identity has never been singular. You have been many things. Healer, guardian, outcast, teacher, witness. So modern labels feel insufficient. You may change paths often, not from instability, but from evolution. Each version of you is real. None are final. Why you feel older than your age? You may have felt old since childhood. Not cynical, observant. You saw patterns early. You sensed consequences others ignored. You felt responsibility without instruction. This is not superiority. It is fatigue from repetition. Your soul has watched humanity repeat the same mistakes many times. That knowledge weighs. The strange pull toward nature. Forests calm you. Water resets you. Mountains feel familiar. This is not aesthetic preference. Nature was not a backdrop in your past lives. It was collaborator. You worked with seasons, elements, and cycles, not against them. Modern environments overwhelm you because they sever those rhythms. Your nervous system remembers a slower world, the fear of being seen fully. You may allow people close, but not all the way. There is always a room inside you that remains locked, not from mistrust alone, but from knowing that full visibility changes dynamics. In past lives, being fully known often meant losing safety. So you'll reveal in layers. Carefully, the paradox of connection. You crave depth, but depth costs energy. You love humanity, but individuals exhaust you. This paradox creates guilt. You may ask, why do I feel this way if I am meant to serve? Because service does not mean celibacy, and connection does not mean constant availability. Ancient souls served from alignment, not depletion. The temptation to disappear at times. You may fantasize about leaving everything behind. Not in despair, but in relief. A simpler life. A quiet place. A vanishing. This is not escapism. It is the soul remembering periods of retreat. But disappearance is not your task now. Presence is why you are here. Despite the discomfort, you are not here to escape the world. You are here to anchor depth within it, to exist without hiding, to remain soft without being consumed, to stand between worlds and refuse to choose only one. This is difficult and sacred, a truth you may need to hear. You will never fully fit into systems built on speed, profit, and surface-level identity. Stop trying. Your belonging is not found in sameness. It is found in resonance. A few people, a few spaces, a few moments of recognition. That is Inog. What comes next in part 6? We will explore how ancient magic actually functioned beyond fantasy. The true nature of magic as consciousness and energy. Why your intuition feels stronger than logic. The mystery deepens. Magic was never fantasy. It was never spectacle. It was never about domination, theatrics, or control. Those ideas came later, after fear distorted understanding. True magic was perception refined into influence. And ancient souls remember this instinctively, even if they cannot explain it. Magic was a science. Before it was a myth, before religion separated spirit from matter, magic was observation, patterns, cycles, cause and effect beyond the visible. Ancient practitioners studied human emotion as energy, thought as frequency, intention as directional force, nature as an intelligent system, consciousness as the primary field. What modern science is beginning to touch through quantum theory, ancient magic lived, not symbolically, practically. Why magic did not look dramatic. Real magic was subtle, a shift in mood, a healing that unfolded over days, a storm delayed, a conflict softened before becoming violent. Those who expected spectacle were disappointed. Those who understood reality were amazed. Magic worked with probability, not against it. That is why it was hard to prove and impossible to control. The core principle, attunement magic, began with listening to the body, to the land, to others, to silence. The practitioner did not impose will. When alignment was achieved, action required very little force. This is why many ancient souls feel repelled by forceful manifestation techniques today. You remember that strain blocks flow? Why your intuition feels stronger than logic. Logic is linear. Magic was holistic. Ancient practitioners processed reality through pattern recognition rather than step-by-step reasoning. In this life, this may appear as knowing without evidence, feeling outcomes before decisions are made, understanding people instantly being right without being able to explain. Why modern education often discourages this. But your nervous system trusts it because it has worked before. The body as an instrument. Magic did not bypass the body. It used it. Breath, posture, voice, focus. The body was tuned like an instrument. That is why many ancient souls are sensitive to food quality, sound frequencies, sleep disruption, environmental energy, emotional atmosphere. Your body remembers being a tool of precision. Intention was never enough. A common misunderstanding today is that intention alone creates reality. Ancient practitioners knew better. Intention without clarity produced chaos. Intention without ethics produced backlash. Intention without alignment failed. Magic required emotional coherence, mental discipline, ethical grounding, energetic stability. This is why training was long and difficult. Power without maturity destroyed both practitioner and community. Why magic was never taught openly. Knowledge was not hidden to create elites. It was protected to prevent misuse. Ancient communities understood something modern culture forgets. Not everyone is ready for power, and not all curiosity is harmless. So magic was transmitted through mentorship, observation, and lived example, not manuals. Your soul remembers learning this way. That is why shallow teachings feel wrong to you. The consequence system magic had consequences. Immediate, inevitable. Energy returned. What was sent out came back often amplified. This was not punishment. It was physics. Ancient souls carry this awareness deeply, which is why you may fear harming others, even unintentionally. Your conscience is energetic, not moralistic. Why you feel disconnected from modern magi. Many modern practices focus on outcomes. Ancient magic focused on relationship with self, with land, with community, with the unseen. When magic is reduced to personal gain, it collapses. Your discomfort with commodified spirituality is not judgment, it is memory, the forbidden knowledge. The most dangerous knowledge was never spells, it was this. Human consciousness shapes reality collectively. When enough people believe, fear, or desire something, reality responds. This understanding threatened power structures, because it meant authority was not absolute. Control was fragile, and the people were never powerless. Why this knowledge returns now? The world is again reaching a critical mass of belief. Fear is being amplified. Division is being engineered. Attention is being harvested. Ancient souls sense this instinctively. You feel the pressure, not personally, but collectively. This is why your intuition is sharpening. Why your dreams intensify. Why silence feels urgent. A warning from the old path, do not rush to reclaim power. Power awakens naturally when the nervous system is ready. Seeking power prematurely is how practitioners were lost in the past. Your task now is stability, not spectacle. Grounding, not proving. The new form of magic in this life. Magic looks like emotional regulation in chaos, truth spoken calmly, compassion without collapse, presence without absorption, integrity under pressure. This is advanced work, and it changes reality quietly. What comes next in part 7? We will explore why ancient souls are awakening simultaneously, the collective role you may be playing now, the difference between ego awakening and soul awakening, the remembering approach's integration. Awakenings do not happen in isolation. They arrive in waves, patterns repeating across different bodies, cultures, and continent souls, stirring simultaneously, without coordination, without announcement. If you feel as though something is happening collectively, you are not imagining it. You are sensing a convergence. Why the awakening is happening now? History moves in cycles, not exact repetitions, but resonances. When systems grow rigid, consciousness pushes back. When truth is suppressed, perception sharpens. When humanity drifts too far from meaning, memory returns. This era mirrors others you have lived through. Times when empires expanded faster than wisdom. Times when technology outpaced ethics. Times when fear was weaponized. Your soul recognizes the rhythm, and that recognition is activating remembrance. The difference between individual and collective awakening. Individual awakening focuses on self. Collective awakening focuses on stabilization. Ancient souls are not waking to escape the world. They are waking to hold it together. Quietly, without recognition, without savior fantasies. While you may feel urgency without panic, there is a pressure inside you that does not feel hysterical. It feels timed. You are not afraid of catastrophe. You are aware of thresholds. Moments where small shifts matter enormously. This awareness is not anxiety. It is strategic perception. The call is subtle by design. In past ages, calls were loud, prophecies, visions, public declarations, and they led to targeting. This time, the call is internal. A nudge, a restlessness, a refusal to participate in harm. You are being activated quietly to avoid repetition of old outcomes. While you are finding each other, ancient souls rarely gather in large groups now. They meet in pairs, in brief encounters, in online spaces, in unexpected conversations. Recognition is instant. You feel it in the nervous system. No explanation needed. These connections are not meant to create movements. They are meant to create nodes, stable points of coherence in a chaotic system. The role you are playing, even if you don't see it, you may think, I'm not doing anything special, and that may be true on the surface. But beneath it, you are interrupting unconscious patterns, choosing presence over reaction, refusing holding nuance when others collapse into certainty, regulating emotional fields in tense environments. This is not small. It is foundational. Why savior fantasies feel wrong to you. You distrust grand narratives, Messiah's chosen ones, apocalyptic promises, not because you lack faith, but because you remember where those stories led. Ancient souls know. When responsibility is externalized, power concentrates. When power concentrates, abuse follows. So your awakening is anti-spectacle, anti-hierarchy, anti-idolatry. The danger of ego awakening: not all awakenings are equal. Some inflate identity, others dissolve it. Ego awakening says, I am special. Soul awakening says, I am responsible. The first seeks followers, the second seeks balance. Ancient souls are allergic to the first, because they have seen its consequences. Why you may feel disappointed with spiritual leaders. Many visibly leaders awaken partially. They touch insight, but stop at your discomfort with them is not jealousy. It is discernment. Your soul recognizes incomplete initiation, and knows the cost of unchecked influence. The quiet agreement you made. Before this incarnation, many ancient souls agreed to one thing: no more dominance, no more martyrdom, no more secrecy through fear. Instead, presence, boundaries, discernment. Humanity, you are not here to be worshipped. You are here to be real. Why this awakening feels different? It is slower, grounded, integrated with daily life. It does not demand abandonment of the world, it asks for maturity within it. This is even the final test of this wave. The test is not power. It is integrity under pressure. Can you remain compassionate without collapsing? Can you see clearly without becoming cruel? Can you disengage without abandoning? These are advanced skills, and they are being practiced now. What comes next in part 8? The final part, we will explore how to integrate remembrance without losing grounding, the role of choice in completing the cycle, what it truly means to live as an awakened ancient soul. Today the circle is about to close. Remembering is not the end. It is the beginning of responsibility. Many souls awaken and then get lost trying to be something. Ancient souls are not here to perform awakening. They are here to embody it. Quietly, consistently, humanly. Why integration is the hardest stage? Awakening feels expansive. Integration feels constraining, because integration demands that insight survives ordinary life. Builds relationships, boundaries, fatigue, conflict. It is easy to feel aligned in silence. It is difficult to remain aligned while participating in the world. That difficulty is not failure, it is mastery. The great misunderstanding: many believe that remembering past power means reclaiming old roles. It does not. You are not meant to recreate temples, orders, or hidden circles. Those structures belong to another era and collapsed for a reason. This lifetime is not about revival, it is about translation. Ancient wisdom must learn to speak modern language. What integrated wisdom looks like: integration is subtle. It looks like saying no without guilt, helping without rescuing, speaking truth without violence, listening without absorbing, working without resting without justification. This is not lesser work. This is advanced application. The final release. Identity: the last thing to let go of is the identity of being awakened. Identity freezes growth. Ancient souls know this because many once became trapped in titles: Mage, priestess, seer. Those names eventually became cages. In this life, freedom comes from function, not label. You do not need a name for what you are. Your presence does the work. Choice is the true power. Past lives were shaped by necessity. This life is shaped by choice. You are not forced to serve, not forced to suffer, not forced to hide. You choose when to engage. You choose when to withdraw. You choose what is worth your energy. Choice is the evolution of power. Why you are not meant to wake everyone. This is important. You are not here to convince, not here to convert, not here to save. Trying to awaken others prematurely repeats old patterns of intrusion. People wake when their nervous systems are ready. Your role is not to push, it is to model coherence. That alone is disruptive enough. The balance between visibility and protection. You no longer need to disappear, but you also do not need to expose everything. Discernment is not secrecy. It is wisdom. You can be visible without being accessible to everyone. You can be open without being unguarded. This balance was impossible in the past. It is achievable now. The body as anchor. If remembrance pulls you upward, the body anchors you here. This is why integration often demands attention to nutrition, sleep, movement. Tachruti, not as discipline, but as containment. The body keeps ancient knowledge from becoming dissociation. Honor it, the quiet joy. Ancient souls often miss. Many ancient souls are serious. Too serious. Because memory carries weight. But joy is not a distraction from purpose. It is a stabilizer. Laughter grounds energy faster than ritual ever did. Pleasure reconnects you to life. Beauty reminds the soul why it returns at all. Joy is not frivolous. It is medicine. What it means to complete the cycle. Completion does not mean enlightenment. It means no longer repeating trauma. No longer shrinking to be safe. No longer suffering to be worthy. No longer hiding to be loved. It means living fully without apology. This is how old stories end. A final truth. If you were once a mage or a witch, your greatest power was never magic. It was consciousness with compassion. That power is needed now more than ever. Not in shadows, not in secrecy, but in ordinary human lives lived with depth. You are not late, you did not miss your calling. You did not fail your mission. You arrived exactly when the world could finally tolerate your presence. This time, you are not meant to burn. You are meant to remain. The remembering is complete. What you do next does not need an audience. Only integrity. only awareness, only life, lived fully. The rest will follow.